What is up, YouTube? In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of the neural growth factor containing nootropic supplement called Cerebrolysin. A Cerebrolysin was originally on my radar, but I kind of overlooked it while I was doing research on just general peptides for health. Then I got onto the Reddit forum, and Cerebrolysin has a lot of posts, and in particular, a lot of people with these sort of life-changing testimonies where they felt like they were falling behind in work and in life, and they started to use Cerebrolysin and were able to make serious gains in all different aspects of their life. So I really took interest. I read a lot about it. And supposedly, I'm off the top of my memory right now, but I think that Cerebrolysin contains the growth factors BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic growth factor, which also gets boosted from exercise and other various supplements. A lot written about that. GDNF, which is really interesting, it's glial cell-derived neurotropic factor. And the glial cells are like support for the neurons. They're sometimes even called imaginal cells or butterfly cells because glial cells can do various different things depending on what is needed in the brain. There's some other supplements that also boost glial cell growth factors, such as devil's claw, ginseng, and iboga root bark. And then next we have nerve growth factor. I know that lion's mane and the amino acid agmatine supposedly both boost nerve growth factor. And then we have endothelial cell growth factor, which I haven't done much research on. So anyway, also some proteins, some amino acids and vitamins and minerals in there. So Cerebrolysin is injectable. I went with the 2 ml ampules. You get this little box that comes with 10 of them. And according to my research, because it's in a glass ampule, you really need to get the blunt filter needles. So you can't get them on Amazon. There's a few places online that you can get them, and usually you need to buy like 50 of them, and they aren't as cheap as, just regular needles, but it's definitely worth it. There's some good scientific research that shows if you're not using them, you're risking injecting yourself with micro glass particles, and we don't want that. So as far as payment goes, with a lot of these nootropic companies, you have to pay with, all different roundabout ways, and it's not as easy as just your typical Amazon purchase. But I went with Revolut through cosmicnootropic.com, and with the Revolut, it was pretty easy to pay. My order was shipped out within a few days, and I received it maybe like 10 days after I originally made the payment, so not too bad at all. Let's see, injecting. Okay, let's just go into protocol. So I've been doing just 2 days a week, 2 ml each day. This is a really small protocol to start. The reason is that I just ordered one box because I wanted to see how I liked it, and then they were sold out for a long time. So I've really been stretching this out so I can do my Cerebrolysin on days where I go to school. I am currently enrolled in CDL school. I'm learning how to drive a big old truck and in a stick shift vehicle. I don't have current experience driving stick shift before school. So it's a lot of learning. It's a high demand. It's also can be very stressful, especially when you're on the road, because it's a real life situation. You don't want to stall out on the highway or on the road. You don't want to, improperly make a turn and clip a curb or another car. So, it's like you have to learn, but also at the same time, you have to learn under pressure. And this is where I think Cerebrolysin is really helping me, because it seems to help me cope with stress and like just rebound, like to where it makes me a little bit more resilient. I would say that it has a little bit of anti-anxiety type effects, where it's like this calm energy feeling. I noticed that my brain is turned on even when I'm not at school, where I feel like I can rest. I can, do a napitation, I call it, where it's like I lay down and start to do a guided meditation or a guided hypnosis. I'll put on Tara Brach on YouTube or Michael Seeley, and then I'll go to sleep during it. So I feel like sometimes I can do that, or I can just like rest and lay on my back and put my feet on the couch. But at the same time, I could also go and watch a video on how to juggle or go do some errands that need to be done. So it's kind of like, it gives me this calm sense of energy. So to go over all of the benefits that I feel like I noticed during, and I'll go over some of what I think the negatives are. But to go over all the benefits first, I think that just definitely enhanced learning, like neuroplasticity, where it just opens up your brain to be able to take in more information, to be able to process more information. Next, I would say that it definitely has a little bit of anti-anxiety, as I mentioned, and mood boosting. So I definitely feel happier, and I think that a lot of mood is based on our mental energy and our mental capacity, because when we feel like our brain is really turned on, we're more likely to have more ideas, to be researching new things, and then that's going to lead us down a path of more growth and more hopefulness and more general optimism, at least for me, because I always keep an optimistic, positive mindset, but it's really, I get momentum building on that feeling good flow state when I have more cognitive and physical energy. So the other thing that I noticed with the Cerebrolysin is increased appetite. I will be eating a whole lot more, and I work and I'm a dad, so sometimes I don't have time to cook. So I'll like make more protein shakes, or I'm just like more like, well, let me just get my calories in, and I'm really just taking down more food. I also noticed that I have this more desire to do more strength orientated training. Normally I really like to play, I really like to do movement, as far as I'll play basketball, I'll do rock climbing, I'll do parkour, I'll play with my kids, I'll crawl, I'll sprint, I'll climb trees, I'll do like locomotion, capoeira type stuff. But I'll do like a little bit of strength work with the kettlebell. But when I did a Cerebrolysin, instantly my body was like, oh, let's go, add some weight on the bar and do 20 rep max back squats and stuff like that. So I think there's an interesting correlation with the Cerebrolysin, with the growth factors and strength training, because I know that with strength training, especially higher weight, higher intensity strength training, it can really fatigue your nervous system before it fatigues your muscles, because your nerves are what turn on your muscles. And when you need your muscles to fire at such a great intensity, then it's a lot of force, it's a lot of power that has to be generated through the nerves themselves, and the nerves are actually slower to recover than the muscles are. So I feel like the Cerebrolysin is really amping up the nervous system in a positive way, and I want to make use of that. So I've been doing a little bit more strength training. 20 rep is really good for anyone if you're in a rush but you want to get a cardio and strength and possibly something that can help build muscle. It's just find some movements that you like to do at the gym. It could be bench or deadlift or back squat. If you feel like your form is good and it's not causing you pain, just get a weight where you can handle about 20 reps and do that for 1 or 2 sets, and you'll have a really good intense workout in a short period of time. That's what I've been doing. So anyway, let's go to sleep. Cerebrolysin has been the best thing for my sleep. It helps me to get to sleep faster. It normally takes me, I don't know, I don't time myself, but a certain amount of time, but from the time I lay down into bed till I'm out into sleep. And Cerebrolysin puts me into a deeper sleep faster, and I wake up feeling more energy, partially because of the Cerebrolysin, but it's also because it helped me to get better sleep in general. So let's just go into a little story. So I've been doing the Cerebrolysin for 3 weeks. My first week, it felt great at school. I was making progress because I was doing skills training, learning parallel parking, something called offset, which is similar to parallel parking, and just driving in a mostly empty parking lot. My second week doing Cerebrolysin, I was finally taking the stick shift truck out on the main road, and I did not do good. So this is something that I just want to bring up. It's like, Cerebrolysin or any nootropic or anything that you're going to use to boost your cognitive function and to boost your abilities is only going to take you so far. Like, it's really all up to me to be able to have the right mindset, to be able to not be upset at when things don't go right, because failure is the most data rich source of information. So what I did was I just stayed optimistic. I didn't do that well, but I said, okay, I'm going to use the fact that I didn't do well into a positive thing. And I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube about how to shift better. So I was able to study just beyond my school throughout the week. And when I went back the following week, which was last week, I had the best shifting ever, and for me. And I was in the truck for over an hour. My driver instructor told me I drove longer than any of the students, and he lets you drive depending on how good you're shifting. And I even got to go on the main highway. So I made huge gains in my ability to shift and just drive that truck around on the main road. And that was great. And I wouldn't have gotten that if it wasn't for failure. So it wasn't necessarily like, hey, I'm doing Cerebrolysin and I'm able to just learn these new things and it's going to come easy. There's still going to be struggle. I'm still going to have to do the work. I don't think that Cerebrolysin is going to do the work for me, but I do think that it does help to give a little bit of a boost. So anyway, that's my story about the growth mindset, because it is more about appreciating the process. It's like, if I know that I'm working towards something, then that's where I'm putting my mental energy. I'm not beating myself up if I fail or if I win. To me, that doesn't matter that much. It just more matters, am I getting back in the game? Am I staying consistent? Am I learning from my mistakes? So yeah, one other story is with the Cerebrolysin. I was teaching parkour at my son's gym, and I quit because it was a low-paying job. I liked it, but I wasn't getting paid enough for my time. So I needed to get more time so I wouldn't be so overwhelmed throughout the week. But while I was working there, I was trying to learn backflips off of a springboard instead of a trampoline. And I originally learned on a trampoline, and I didn't have to throw my hands back to generate the power because I was jumping so high on the trampoline. So I had this really bad habit for years. And I was trying to undo that bad habit, and it wasn't working for me. For some reason, I would ask my arms to go up and throw the flip, but the command wasn't working. I had too much, bad habits for too many years set to not do that. And it was actually the first day after doing two days in a row of Cerebrolysin that I went on that springboard, and I got it. So it was very interesting. That's why I think it has to do with neuroplasticity as far as learning a new skill. If you really set your intentions to learn something new, I think that Cerebrolysin can be very useful for learning new things if you are willing to put in the effort and have a clear goal on what it is that you do want to learn. I think it can be a very useful tool to help get you there. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think the negatives could potentially be. I think the Cerebrolysin could be possibly a little bit addictive because it feels so good. Like anything that makes you feel really good, I think eventually could be habit forming, and you could have too much of a good thing. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't hear many people talking about that. And on the forums, I hear a lot of people doing really long cycles and doing a lot of it. So I think it definitely could have a habit forming sort of effect. Next, it is rather pricey, so it's all relative, depending on what your price range is, but it can definitely get up there. And I think there is a little bit of a come down from it too. Nothing too drastic. It's not like you feel terrible, but it's not like you do the Cerebrolysin for 2 days and now your baseline just feels like it's up, but maybe I haven't done it enough yet to tell. So this is just my personal experience again. But I do feel like for those 2 days, I'm really on like mental clarity, mental energy, mood, sleep, overall energy, overall feeling of vitality and happiness. But then that following day and the following couple days, I notice a little bit of a drop off. And I'm just intentional to make sure that I get a good workout in. I make sure I do my breath work. I take some other supplements. And I make sure to do everything, but it still feels like I'm trying to climb back up to that same type of feeling that I was at. So I think that this is kind of normal. We can't expect everything to be all, puppy dogs and rainbows, and yeah, it's only going to be good if you just do this. I think that we have to also be realistic and realize that for everything there is pros and cons. I also wanted to bring up the fact that I'm paying very close attention to my personal health, because I know that we can easily get tricked with things that improve our quality of life and think that they also are going to improve our longevity. I'm going to give a great example, and that is, like, about last year I got these patches that were somatropin, so they're like growth hormone patches, and I would do one patch every 4 days, and I was like, wow, these patches are fantastic. I can do this mini cycle, and it'll help, like, just with my energy, it'll help, bone density, it'll help my body recover and heal from injuries. But what happened is I ended up getting a cold sore. And why this is interesting is that I hadn't had a cold sore for over like a year or 2 years before doing the patches. So it was like, since I started doing oxygen advantage breath work, that was when I never had another cold sore. And I thought there was a good correlation between that, because I noticed that learning how to do oxygen advantage really transformed my health to a new level. But then doing those patches made me feel great, but then the cold sore came on. The cold sore could have been also because I was traveling from New York, stress from seeing family and other stuff happening in my life, but it could have been, just more cells being created or more growth happening, and then that maybe there's more senescent cells because there is more cells, and then it causes more inflammation, or there's some different pathways being activated. We don't know the full scope. So I'm paying very close attention to my general health, not just the quality of my life. So far, I feel like Cerebrolysin is positive for my overall health, but I will continue to pay really close attention, and I'm going to do another video when I do a full cycle and I have a better idea of how this stuff is going to affect me on a 5-day-a-week basis at higher doses. And as I continue to progress in school, will it help me to be able to pass my tests, which I'll be taking in about a month. So I will make sure to keep you guys posted. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I hope you have a beautiful day.